Thanks for joining me today. Before I let Pablo go on with the good news, I thought I would do a little bit of an introduction, tell you a little bit about who we are. When I say we, I mean myself and Pablo. Myself, I've been in the industry now about 7 years. Prior to that, I was a financial advisor for about 15. A little bit of a background, worked with a couple of competitors, nothing as good as Holborn, obviously. But I come from a background of wealth management, doing my advanced diploma in financial management, as well as my postgrad in management as well. Now on to Mr. Portugal himself. Pablo has been with the company for just over 4 years, obviously being grown quite dramatically through the industry. Everybody knows him now. Qualified within the international realm, having his international investment migration council certificate. So my job here today is to obviously do the introductions, but at the same time, at the end of this webinar, we're also going to have a Q&A session. So just remember at the bottom there's a Q&A button. If you can put all your questions in there, we can try and address them as much as possible. Please understand there are a lot of you on the webinar at the moment, so we'll try and get to as many, if not all, that we can, but those that we don't, we'll address on an individual basis. All right, Pablo, on to you. Some good news. Let's have it.
All right, thanks a lot, Shane, for the introduction. I see there's over 100 people attending at the moment. We had over, I think, 250 people register. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending. I'm going to be talking now for about 30 minutes. Okay, I'm going to run you through who we are at Holborn Assets, go through the Portuguese Golden Visa program, and explain the changes that happened 1st of January 2022 and what actually qualifies now for the Portuguese Golden Visa. And most importantly, we'll be launching our new property, which we're very, very excited about, as really it is the best value proposition in the Golden Visa market at the moment. As Shane said, then we'll open the floor to Q&A. So there's the two buttons, chat and Q&A. So please feel free to message as we go along, and we'll be sure to answer as many of them at the end. So Holborn Assets, we're a global wealth management firm established in 1998. We're a British family-run firm with over 500 employees across 15 international offices. We have one office in the Algarve in Portugal, office in the UK, Spain, Cyprus, Dubai, Saudi, I think 6 now in Africa, another 5 in Asia, and also in the US. Okay, so we do all kinds of investments with funds, insurances, real estate. I head up one of the divisions that's called Holborn Pass, and we specialize in investments that give you either residency or citizenship. Now, we look at residency and citizenship by investment from the wealth management point of view first, right? So we try and find, good investments that also give you citizenship or residency. And that's mainly the reason why we've been so successful over the last couple of years. And in particular for Portugal, we did over 130 golden visas last year. There's only about 1,000 golden visas that are issued every year. So we do over 10% of the global market, and the main reason for that is because we have exclusive properties like the one we have today, and besides our track record and expertise, we're able to deliver the best product in the market, and our clients see that, and almost always they end up partnering with us on this journey. So we offer a full end-to-end service. So our clients deal with us, we deal with the 5 parties that are involved in the Golden Visa: lawyers, developers, accountants, government, and there's a 5th party, the bank, right? So you deal with us, and we make life as easy as possible as it can be, to get the Golden Visa, because you're dealing with different time zones, different entities. So we simplify it. You deal with us, and we help you from beginning to end to get tax numbers, bank accounts, powers of attorney, biometrics, go to deeds, collect the rent, everything from beginning to end until our clients get their citizenship. Okay, so we work with 18 different government programs, as you can see below, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide, but really I want to point out why Portugal is so unique compared to any other program. Now, to obtain the EU passport, you can go via the Malta route, where you can donate 800,000 euros to the Maltese government and obtain EU citizenship typically after 1 year, right? It's the only EU passport. The other ones are Caribbean, Montenegro and Turkey. They're not in the EU. So these are the passport programs that are for sale. And the reason the Maltese passport is so expensive, or any European country, is that it's actually 27 countries in one, right? Once you got that Maltese passport or that Portuguese passport, you could live anywhere in Europe. You could retire to Greece, for instance. You could work in Germany. Your kids could study in Ireland. You can open up a business anywhere and literally have probably the 4th best passport in the world. So one route is via Malta. And then the other route, it could be via one of the residency programs, where you get residency first, and then after 5 to 10 years, that residency can become a citizenship. Now, the key row here for all these developed countries is this one here, where it says physical stay time for citizenship. How long do investors need to spend in these countries to get the passport over this 5 to 10 year period? And the answer is you have to be tax resident and spend 6 to 9 months per year across all of them, with the exception of Portugal, where you only need to spend 5 weeks total in that 5-year period. So this unique factor, makes it so different to any other program, and this is why it is the most popular program that we have, because the decision our clients have to make isn't to move their entire family to one of these countries to get the citizenship. The decision is to buy a property that qualifies for Golden Visa, and 280 to €500,000 bracket, and then wait for 5 years and then still be able to qualify for the citizenship. Okay. So in case you haven't been to Portugal, just a very quick introduction. It's a fantastic country. I've been on holiday many times. It's voted as the most welcoming country for expats in the world. Over 70% of the population speak English. It has one of the lowest crime rates in the world, and for 3 years in a row, it's been voted the world's best retirement destination because it has the lowest cost of living in Western Europe, great weather, great food, and just a really easygoing lifestyle. Portugal also offers a discount for the first 10 years in taxes for anyone who moves to Portugal for the first time. And Portugal also boasts one of the best free public healthcare systems in the world, and also education systems. So, we're very fond of the Portuguese Golden Visa program because it's a very tried and tested program, right? It's been going since 2012. There's over 10,000 families that have gotten their Golden Visa. And people started getting their passports in 2018 without actually having to live in Portugal. Okay, it's been a huge success, raised over 6 billion euros in terms of foreign direct investment. And as long as our clients don't have a criminal record and they're not EU citizens, they can apply and they can obtain that for pretty much the entire family, parents, kids, and spouse. Okay, this picture is Lisbon, in case you haven't been. Okay, so in terms of the immigration and the process, how does it all work? So it takes us about 10 months until we can get our clients their golden visas, right? And it takes about 3 months until we can actually apply for a golden visa. We need to do powers of attorney, tax numbers, bank accounts, actually carry out the investment, and then we apply to the government. We apply to CEF, the government entity. A couple of months later, our clients get approved. They then have to go to Portugal to do the biometrics. Okay, it takes about half a day. Our lawyers accompany our clients to do it, and then the golden visa cards are issued, and the 5 years start counting for the citizenship. And the golden visa cards are valid for 2 years. So in year 2 and in year 4, our clients have to go to Portugal to renew the cards, and this is when you'd spend 2 weeks in year 2. 3 weeks there in year 4 when you're renewing them. And this way, when we get to year 5, our clients already have the, one of the main requirements to obtain the citizenship. We apply for citizenship or permanent residency, depending on what our clients prefer. And then in year 6, the passport is granted, or the permanent residency is granted, and the process is complete. Now, for the first 5 years of our clients having the golden visa, you can live and work in Portugal if they want to. They can travel freely across Schengen, so they never need to get a golden visa ever again. They can open up a business anywhere in Schengen, and if they move to Portugal, they could benefit from the 10-year tax exemption, the healthcare, education, and state pension. All right. Now, once the 5 years go by, there's two conditions to get the citizenship. One, you need to have been a resident of Portugal for 5 years, which is demonstrated by visiting Portugal for 5 weeks minimum. And two, they have to have a basic level of Portuguese, an elementary level, which is the A2 language level, to get the citizenship and to show, there's ties, that connection to Portugal. Typically, it requires a few months study, a couple of hours a week, and that's enough to get to the A2 language level. I think you need 55% to pass, so it just requires a little bit of effort, but definitely worth the time spent. Because at that point, Portuguese passport is the 4th best passport in the world. Our clients can travel to anywhere in green, visa-free, and anywhere in blue is where they can live, study, retire, do business, etc. Okay, so that's in terms of the immigration side of things. Now, the law changed in 1st of January 2022, and most categories increase in price. In terms of the real estate, the main two categories, which is €500,000, you could buy any property, and that drops to €350,000 if you refurbish a building that's 30 years or older. What changed there was really the type of investments that qualify under those categories. So residential now no longer qualifies for Golden Visa in Lisbon, Porto, and Algarve, right? It has to be in the low density rural areas. Only commercial still qualifies in the main cities. And I'll go into this more in a second. But just to finish off the other categories. So donation to the arts, you could donate €250,000. I think there's only one person that's ever done that in the history of the Portuguese Golden Visa. The private equity fund, venture capital fund, these are largely untested funds, typically a bit high risk, and normally is a 10-year exit strategy. So we tend to stay away from them. And the bank account increased from 1 million to 1.5 million that our clients would have to block for 5 to 6 years. So few people do that when you can just block, €300,000 in a property, let's say, for 6 years. Finally, another route is to create a company and employ 10 people full time, but that becomes easily a €600,000 liability of salaries that you have to pay over the next 5 to 6 years, right? So real estate continues to be the most popular option this year. I think something like 95% of my clients or more have gone for that. So what changed precisely? So as I was saying earlier, residential now only qualifies in rural areas, low density areas. So if you see here on the map, anywhere in grey is what qualifies under residential. And for us, from a wealth management point of view, when looking at property investments, everything, the first thing you look at is location, right? And, the locations are very bad for real estate investment. It just doesn't make sense anymore for us to promote residential. Okay, so residential for us is pretty much dead. And there's good reason that the government has left these areas as still available for residential investment. So what is still available in the main cities, in Porto, in Lisbon, in the Algarve, is commercial. And what qualifies as commercial? So we have shops, offices, hotels, and apartment hotels. And apartment hotels, they're the closest thing to residential, right? You can live in them, you can rent them out, you can sell them and make the upside. So pretty much our focus and the demand now is very much on apartment hotels in the good areas, right? In Lisbon, in Porto, and in the Algarve, right, in the south. So what are the minimum entry levels that the government requires in Lisbon, in Porto, and in the Algarve? So in Lisbon and Porto, you could buy a commercial property and it will still qualify for Golden Visa at €500,000. And in the Algarve, that drops to by 20% to €400,000. Okay. And the other category is if you refurbish a building that's 30 years or older. So the minimum investment amount is €350,000 in Lisbon and in Porto. And in the Algarve, that drops to €280,000. Okay. Now the Algarve wasn't meant to have this, this 20% discount, but the way the law is written, it allowed the Algarve to have this 20% discount. And the Algarve, as a real estate location, is as good as Lisbon and Porto for capital appreciation. But arguably, it's better for rental yields because people come there on holiday, they stay there for a short period, so you can charge more on a weekly or bi-weekly basis than long term. So our focus is very much in the Algarve because we see that as you're lowering your entry costs and still buying a quality investment. Now, typically the properties in the first category, when it's a new property, are naturally a better real estate investment. And then in the other category, in the refurbishment, normally they're naturally not as good because you're refurbishing a building that's 30 years or older. So I've met with over 20 developers in Portugal, and if you've done your research for the Portuguese Golden Visa and you've seen what the market is like, it's actually quite tough to find good real estate investments for just the innate characteristics of this property category. First of all, it's a 30-year-old building or more, right? So it's typically in dire need of refurbishment. And normally you need a couple of years to refurbish this up to standard, and the construction period can take, therefore, a couple of years. A lot of the properties out there are co-ownership. So, you would own, 0.2, 0.3% of a building as opposed to an actual unit, apartment. And as I said, a lot of these properties are in low density areas, which we won't touch because, what's the exit strategy? Is there going to be a depreciation on that property? Is it going to be rented out? So because that project has to be refurbished, so our clients miss out on the first 2 years of rental typically. And if you've looked at other projects on the market at the 280 level, normally there is no rental. And then at the 350 level, the average rental becomes 3% from year 3 onwards. Finally, on top of the real estate purchase price, for a family of 4, you're looking at about 60,000 euros in fees. You got 7% tax when you buy a property in Portugal, around 20,000 euros to apply for the Golden Visa, and I'd say 10 to 20,000 euros in legal fees. So there's about 60,000 euro cost on top of the market price. So it's actually very tough to make money and get the Golden Visa, right? The main objective really is to get the citizenship. So then we, in a lot of these projects, you have to think, okay, what's the exit strategy? If it's co-ownership, who's going to buy that, percentage of the building from you? If there's a buyback, who's guaranteeing that? What happens if there isn't a buyback, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally, most projects in this category, they either don't allow you to stay, or maybe they allow you to stay for about 1 week per year. Okay, so essentially, the property that we're launching today, the value proposition is miles ahead of anything really in this bracket between 280 and 350. Because we're actually qualifying under the new build category, but the price point is in between the 280 and 350. Okay, so the project that we're launching today is a ready-built property. It's already on booking.com, so there's no developer risk. It's tourists are staying there as we speak. Our clients own or will own the full apartment outright, so they're in control whatever happens. It's in a prime location in the Algarve. And what's truly unique about this product is that our clients are going to get 4% rental return for 6 years. So 24% rental paid upfront as and when they're buying the property. Okay. And this rental will ensure that our clients are making money. If it's a single applicant, family of 2, family of 3, even family of 4, our clients are actually making money with the Golden Visa, because the rental return is covering all the costs associated with it. So this is truly unique, and it's only available with our property. And finally, there's an exit strategy in year 6 where our clients can sell the property back to the actual owner today, so the seller, and at the original price, which is 400,000 euros. So they can get that back in year 6 as a minimum, or they can sell it on the open market. Finally, our clients can also stay for 1 month per year for free as part of this package, even though it's rented out to tourists. And the starting price for this property is 328,000 euros for, I think, about 15 units. So our clients only have to put down this amount because the rest is the rental return paid by the developer. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our exclusive property, the Pelican Apartment Hotel in the Algarve. This is a real picture of what it looks like today. It's a 4-star apartment hotel, and we're launching exclusively the top 2 floors, so the 3rd floor and the 4th floor. And our property partner has given us exclusivity for these 2 floors, and the bottom 2 floors are for the Chinese partner, so they're going to be marketed in China. We have the international distribution rights for the top 2 floors. Okay, and you can see it, has a swimming pool, there's a restaurant, and there's 20 apartments for sale. There's the 15 1-beds and 5 2-bedrooms. Okay, you can see it's literally like a 10-minute walk from the beach, 1.5 kilometers from the beach. It's located in Alvor, which is next to Portimao, essentially. And the building was built in 2009, but it was fully redecorated last year. So as you can see, it looks, pretty much brand new. This is the front of the main entrance of the building. These are all real pictures, by the way. None of this are renderings. You can even see, that the leaves have fallen off the trees because the picture was taken about a month ago. And this is the main entrance. There's a very impressive lobby, and there's underground parking for all tourists and owners. So these are the interiors. Again, these are real pictures as they are today. So this would be the 1-bedroom bedroom, the living room. So we got sofa bed, dining table, kitchen. And these are just other angles of the living area. Again, more pictures of the living room, and then the high quality finishing in the bathrooms. So if our clients can spend 1 month per year here, I think a lot of them will actually do it. If not, you can give those weeks to friends, or spend as little or as much as you want those 4 weeks. And really is perfect for families, for couples. So not a bad place to spend the summer. So these are pictures of the common areas. So you've got the restaurant, the bar, and the lobby. Okay, I was actually here a few months ago, and it is really even better in person. Other pictures of the recreation area. And so the property is located in Alvor, okay, which is between Portimao and Lagos, which are pretty much the 2 biggest cities or 2 in the Algarve. It's about a 45-minute drive from the airport, and it's about an hour away from Spain, and like an hour and a half or an hour and 45 minutes from Lisbon. So this is a picture of Alvor. You can see there the historic city centre. The Pelican apartment hotel is about 10-minute walk to here, and 10-minute walk to the main 2 beaches. It's a perfect area, for fishing or just to spend the day on a boat, because it's on the Alvor estuary, which leads to the Atlantic Ocean. There in the background, you kind of see Portimao as well, which is like a 10-minute drive. There's 3 golf courses less than 2 kilometers away. And then there's the you've got the skydive in the Algarve, which is literally a few minutes away from the resort, and also it's also famous for having the Grand Prix racing track, the only one in Portugal. So this property qualifies under the 400,000 euro minimum entry level for, say, a new build property in the Algarve. We have 15 one-bedrooms that have 67 square meters, which price is 400,000 euros, and 5 two-bedrooms, 3 of which have ginormous balconies, and 2 of which, still, more of a normal size, but still, very good price per square meter. And they're priced between 450 to 460,000 euros. As I said earlier, our clients will have the full title deed and will own their units outright. You guys, or anyone can go on booking.com and check the property out. It's rated 8.3 out of 10 on booking.com. So finally, as I said earlier, there's a restaurant, there's a bar, there's a swimming pool, and underground parking. Okay, and these are all real images of the resort. So what's really interesting and unique about this property is that because the seller, the developer, is going to pay the rental return of 3.5% for the 2 bedrooms and 4% for most of the 1 bedrooms, and they're going to pay that for 6 years up front. So in the case of the 1 bedroom, at 400,000 euros, our clients only have to contribute 328,000 euros of their money, okay? Because the rest, the other 72,000 euros, is the rental after tax, which the developer contributes, with the client to reach that 400,000 euro minimum level, okay? For the 2-bed, you need about, 379,000 euros of your capital to afford the 2-bed. The other condition, or the other contract that's signed at the start, is the optional buyback, whereby the clients sign at the start, and in year 4 they get to choose if they want to enforce the buyback in year 6 at the original purchase price of, let's say, 400,000, or they can say, no, thank you, I want to keep the property, I want to live in it, I want to rent it, I want to sell it and make the upside. So our clients get to decide that in year 4. If the client didn't want the buyback, they don't have to sign it, but it's a good hedge to have, because in year 6 at least you're going to get your money back in a quick manner once you've got your citizenship. Finally, our clients can use it for up to 4 weeks per year. 3 weeks of that can be between say mid-September to mid-May, and then 1 week can be either, say, June or September. And if our clients wanted to stay in July and August, they'd have to pay 50% of the going rate, because it's very seasonal resort and location. So a lot of the money is made in July, August, and June. Okay, so in terms of the units that are available, as I mentioned, the first 2 floors are for the Chinese partners of the developer, and we managed to secure 20 apartments because the developer had already given a few, the ones that you see marked in an X. They've already been sold and to other commitments that they have. So we now have the exclusivity, as I said, internationally for the building. And essentially the ones in blue are the ones that are available. So there's 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor, which are the 97 square meters. And there's 3, 7, so 9 one-bedrooms facing the pool. Okay, and then another 3 one-bedrooms that face the hills. Okay, and then on the 3rd floor, there are these 3 apartments that are 2 bedrooms. And this one here, which all have huge balconies with a jacuzzi, and these are going for 460, and actually capital required, I believe, is something like 390 for these 2 bedrooms. I imagine these will go quite fast. And then there's the other 4 one-bedrooms on the top floor that face the swimming pool, and all of them have got a sea view. Right in the distance, you can see about 1.5 kilometers away the sea. So I think we've already got from the 20 apartments, there's 2 that have already kind of been reserved. So I imagine if you've been talking to some of the wealth managers over the last few months, you would have seen that these exclusive properties, as they are miles ahead of the competition, they do tend to go very fast. I don't think this will last more than a month, to be honest. Our previous property that had similar characteristics We launched in December. It was 60 apartments. It was meant to last till March, and then we pretty much sold out mid-February. So it's pretty much 18 left in these 2 floors. Okay. So that's the Pelican Alvor for you, and hope you you like the presentation. If you've done much research, you'll see that it really is the best value proposition in the market. A final note, maybe a lot of our clients ask, what happens when we apply, if they change the Golden Visa, or if they close the Golden Visa, what happens to my investment, right? And it's a valid concern, because we are at the mercy of governments just changing their mind and just either closing a program or increasing the price of a program, or changing certain characteristics. And as long as you have applied to the government before the law passes, you're safe. You're within the program as it stands today. So governments can only legislate going forward. They can't legislate retroactively. Okay. So, but we've seen this happen many times. Just this year, for example, the UK closed the UK investor visa program. This was 17th of February. Okay. Cyprus closed theirs about a year and a half ago, and maybe they gave like 2 weeks notice. We had a couple of investors who were caught out with the US EB5 program. This was, I think, 3 weeks ago, when they decided to increase from $500,000 to $800,000 their program. And in Europe, I don't know if you've seen this on the news recently, but if you look at, there's a lot of articles out there, on the 10th of March or 4th of March. The European Parliament is debating how to legislate the golden passports, and pretty much they want to get rid of the golden passports. And for golden visas, they're thinking of how to legislate that. And most likely next year, there will be some sort of legislation that will change the golden visas. We still don't know what it's going to be. It could be that they tax certain countries, so it will make it a bit more expensive to the investor. It could be they ban them completely. Or it could be that they change certain aspects, like, for example, the physical stay requirement for Portugal, which is what makes it so unique, right? That you can do it remotely. So, if this program is the right thing for, for your family, don't procrastinate, get it done before it changes, because the Portuguese Golden Visa program really is, as it stands today, a really fantastic program. So, okay, Shane, over to you. How many questions have we got?
Yeah, so we got quite a few. A couple of them I'll try and bash out, but there's quite a few about the new project. Okay. If I start off, taxes, is there any income-based tax? How much? How often? To give you a broad view, as a non-domiciled tax resident in Portugal, you do pay a flat rate of 28% on all income earned within Portugal. However, there is a slight difference if we are dealing with a project such as this one. Because we're paying all the taxes in one lump sum, as far as an income goes, it's a flat rate of 25% withholding tax. Outside of that, everything else is paid as and when you receive an income in Portugal. Hope that answers. Then one for you, Pablo. How does the property qualify as a new build if it is constructed already in 2009?
Right. So the new build category doesn't actually mean it's built today or last year. It's a way to differentiate from a building that's 30 years or older, right? So any building really, within the last few decades can qualify under that category.
Perfect. At a later stage, can the property be converted from a commercial to a residential deed? If so, how?
No, would be the short answer to that. It's very tough to get anything like done. It'd take months, years. It'd have to be the whole building. Yeah, so no is the short answer.
Thanks. Okay, there seems quite a lot of them, so I'm going to keep going through them as quickly as possible. Just to clarify, if a client sells back under the buyback agreement, do they get the 328 or do they get the 400,000 in year 6?
The full 400,000. The price is 400. That 72,000 is just the rental, so it's the full original purchase price of 400.
Okay. And then I get this quite a lot at myself, but I think it's good on this point. What is the guarantee that Pelican will be able to achieve their buyback? What happens if something goes wrong with the company? If they go bang, close doors?
So that is the key question with any buyback is, who is guaranteeing that buyback? And in a lot of the co-ownership properties, if the buyback doesn't happen, then how do you sell, 0.2, 0.3% of the building? We're very comfortable with this buyback because the reason it's there is because the developer, they want to make the upside. Okay, offering the price from 6-7 years ago, it's actually a pretty good deal for the developer, right? And if for whatever reason the buyback didn't happen, first of all, it's secured via a 20% penalty, so they'd have to pay the investor 20% of 400,000, which is 80,000 euros as penalty. So it'll be the ideal scenario for the client because they would get 80,000 euro penalty, and then additionally, they have a property that's probably appreciated in value in a prime location in the Algarve that they own outright, and they can sell and rent it. So they're very well protected in either scenario, whether buyback happens or not. The developer, just to give a bit more context on the buyback, typically they buy the property back themselves, or they manage 4 funds with over I think it's 350 million euros as we speak today. And these funds, they own income generating assets, right? But the whole business model of the developer is to own assets that they can manage the generate income, right? So they can keep it themselves, they can sell it to one of their funds, but they're interested in having this, essentially forever, having control of these units. They manage over, I think it's 800 apartments already in the Algarve as of today. So,
perfect. And then one with regards to the upfront payment. So we've obviously had different types of upfront payments in the past, whether it be paid after transfer or whether it be paid initially as part of your capital. How is this one going to work?
So this is paid, so clients only has to come up with 328,000 euros, and then essentially the money, the developer will contribute the remaining amount to reach it to 400,000 euros.
Okay, perfect. And then with regards to the 4 weeks per year, I'm going to join a couple of the questions. There's been quite a few questions there. Are these going to be off-season times or during peak season? And then at the same time, will you be able to, your family members be able to use it outside of the immediate family, or your friends?
Yes, family, friends, whoever can use it at that period. I mean, the Algarve is lovely to visit, between March and let's say end of October, and even December, a lot of people go there because the climate is quite mild anyway. So 3 weeks can be done in any of the off season, let's say, so between September to October to May, let's say, and then 1 week can be done on the key season, on the peak season, say June, September, 1 week for free. But if they wanted to go in July and August, they'd have to pay 50% of the market rates. Okay.
Perfect. And then one question for me: the title deed will be under my wife's name and mine as well. Do we both need to spend the 5 weeks in Portugal? Just so that you're aware, unfortunately, with the title deed, it will only be under the main applicant's name. The way that we structure this, unfortunately, has to be like that. In regards to the time spent in Portugal, that falls under a separate category, but that fortunately, we're offering you a holiday. You would need to, on an individual basis, achieve those 5 weeks over the 5-year period.
And just to add to that, Shane, it can't be in joint name, because if it was, the government would see that there's only 200,000 in the main applicant's name and then 200,000 in the spouse's name, and the law requires that 400,000 has to be in the main applicant's name, so it wouldn't actually qualify for Golden Visa if it was bought as a joint property. So.
Perfect, thank you. Then one a little bit more on the ongoing costs for the property. things like IMI tax, condominium fees, and insurance fees, are those applicable on this property?
Yeah, or on any property, you're going to have to pay taxes per year, which is roughly 0.2, 0.3% of the property value. You're going to have to pay an insurance to protect the other apartments in the building. So this is the same for any property in Portugal, right? So typically you're looking at say 1,500, let's say, running fees, like you would pay, as I said, on pretty much any apartment in Portugal. There's no condominium fees. That's included in the rental tenancy contract. Okay.
Perfect. So a couple of the other ones. I'm just sorry, we've now moved away from the property. I think we're more onto the actual process itself. Are there any additional fees for the visa? So outside of the property?
Yeah, so besides the property taxes, you have to pay 5,000 euros per person to the government, Golden Visa card fees. You need to pay legal fees, which typically, as I said, 10 to 20,000 euros. So, for a single applicant, total fees on top of the property price would be around 45,000 euros. And then another 7,000 euros additional for every dependent you add to the application. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a good indication.
Perfect. Back to Pelican. Once you've gone through the entire process and you're ready to sell the property, I think this has got to do with the buyback. Can you take advantage of the capital appreciation, or do you need to keep it with the buyback?
Well, you decide in year 4 if you want to keep it yourself and make the capital appreciation. Let's say if the market has done very well, then in year 4 you notify the developer and you'd say, I don't want the buyback. I'm going to keep this property myself, and then it's your responsibility to sell it or live in it, do whatever you want. But if in year 4 you say I want the buyback, then in year 6, then that contract has to be enforced, and it will be bought back for the original purchase price of, let's say, 400,000 euros.
Perfect. Another tax question. I think it's fairly similar to what we have, but I think it's more specific to this property. Do I have to pay property rental tax based on the 4% upfront by the developer, or the income that the property will generate for the year?
So you pay tax on what you receive. There's a question there that says, 4% times 6, so 24% of 400,000 is 96,000 euros. So why is the price 328,000 euros, i.e. you're getting a 72,000 euro rental? The answer is because 72,000 is what you net after you pay the income tax in Portugal. Okay. So hence why it's 328 as opposed to 304. Perfect.
And then I think carrying on with taxes, VATs and levies, are there any additional costs outside of the ones that we've gone through on the property? Is there any type of VAT or other levies or other costs involved?
No, there's no VAT because there's no construction here. So there's none of that, just what we mentioned earlier. That's it.
And then, I think we're going to try and wrap up so that we don't take too much time. I think when it comes to the questions that we're being asked, because there's quite a few coming through that are how much does it cost individually? What are the legal fees? What are the government fees? I think on that basis, it's important to understand that we can answer that, but it will be more of an individual level. So it depends on how many applicants in an application. We can do that on an individual basis. So we're going to more answer the general questions today. And I suppose keeping on with the dependent options, Pablo, what are the age limits for kids? There's someone here with a 25-year-old, a 24-year-old, and a 16-year-old. Can all of them qualify?
It'd be tough for the 25-year-olds. There isn't actually an age limit per se. Portuguese government if for any kids above 18, they need to be dependent on the main applicant, and we need to prove that at the beginning, in year 2 and in year 4 when they're renewing the Golden Visa cards. Dependency is defined as being enrolled in a full-time academic education and it being paid for by the main applicant. So,
perfect. And then on Pelican, can we get bonds or mortgages on this property?
Yeah, it was possible. Bear in mind, you need to invest 400,000 of your own money to make sure you qualify under the Golden Visa. So what you could do is buy 2 properties and then mortgage them both at 50%, and this way you're meeting the 400,000 euro mark that's needed by the government.
Perfect. I'll take this one. How many dependents are you able to put on an application? There's no sort of limitation as to how many dependents you can put on. The people that you can put on is your spouse, your children, as Pablo's already explained, the ages with the children, and then your parents. So if your parents are above the age of 65, they're automatically assumed to be dependent. But if they're below the age of 65, we would then need to prove dependency. And that would be for both sets of parents, for both the spouse and the main applicant. So hopefully that helps there. Pablo, other properties. Do we have other properties in places like Lisbon, outside of the one that we have right now in the 280 category or around there?
Yeah, there's other properties out there. As I explained, the characteristics are usually not as good as this investment, right? Normally it's co-ownership and most of the time you don't actually get a rental return. But we offer everything that the rest of the market offers. And additionally, we have this, which is a much better property investment. But if your price point is you want to keep it at 280, then we can help as well. Perfect.
And then what happens after the 6 years in regards to the rental scheme? Do you renew it? What happens then?
Yeah, so you can choose the developer. They want to manage. This is how they make their money, right? That they'll make who knows how much they can make 7%, 8%. So they'll want to renew the lease because they're making money on all the rooms for tourists. So you can choose if you want the rental up front or you want a monthly rental based on performance. That's up to you.
Perfect. And I think that's I mean, we're coming to the end. I don't want to take up too much time. Most people are asking, are we going to send this out, the recordings out? I think a lot of people are wanting to have a second read and have secondary questions from there.
Yes, we are. So, we'll be sending it out to anyone who's attended or anyone who requests it. We can send it across.
Perfect. And then literally one just skipped in right at the end here. Once you have citizen, can you live in Republic of Ireland? I'll quickly answer that. Once you have citizenship, you are officially an EU citizen, meaning that you are able to live, work, and settle in any of the EU countries. I'm going to give it one more, Pablo, because they seem to be flying in fast and furious here.
We can do more, Shane. I'm happy to help. It's great to see the interest. So we still have over 100 participants who haven't disconnected. So there's clearly interest here. So happy to continue.
All right. No, then we can go until it's done. Again, with the buyback, I know what we said if the company goes bang, but what ramifications does the client have if once they've hit the end of the period? Is the guaranteed buyback? What do they have that it's permanent? I'm not saying if the company goes bang, yes, I understand, but what guarantees do they have that the company will actually pay it?
Well, it's a contract, right? So it's enforced by law, and there's that 20% penalty if they didn't do the buyback in year 6. So the 20% actually works both ways. So in year 4, if the client decides I want the buyback, and then in year 6 they change their mind, they would have to pay a 20% penalty. And it's the same for the developer. They're committed to the 20% penalty, which they'd have to pay in year 6 if they don't enforce the contract.
If my son starts university now in 2022-23, is he eligible for the residency education? or through his education, I mean?
Sure, yeah, in Portugal straight away. And actually in Europe, you can benefit from the discount tuition fees. Maybe pay a couple €1,000 a year in tuition in Germany, in Holland, in Ireland. And that's from when you get the golden visa, right? When you're an EU resident, we don't have to wait until the citizenship. So, you can save yourself a lot of money. A lot of our clients do it maybe just for that reason. If you've got, a family of 6 kids, instead of sending them to the US or the UK, where you're going to have to pay, $30,000 to $50,000 tuition per year, send them to Amsterdam or Ireland or Spain. More and more in Europe, there's courses in English, and it's tough to, pay, I don't know, 20 times more for a same, quality education. I think it's, particularly if you have a large family, it just really doesn't make sense anymore.
Once we hit citizenship stage, do we facilitate it? Do we have the legal capabilities to assist our clients?
Yes, so it's an end-to-end process. It's the same lawyers now that help to apply for the golden visa, to renew the biometrics in year 2, renew the biometrics and the visas in year 4, and then apply for the citizenship at the end of year 5.
Perfect. And then while I'm going through this, one last one for a couple more for you, but what documents are required for your actual application?
Well, it depends on how many family members, but as a general rule, we're looking at police clearance certificates, depending on where you live. It could be more than one country. Marriage certificate for the spouse, birth certificates for the kids, and a birth certificate of the main applicant or spouse if we're including parents, for example. And obviously that qualifying title deed that allows us to get the golden visa.
Perfect. While on my golden visa, before citizenship, so just as a resident, are we able to settle in any other European country?
No, is the short answer. The residency is for Portugal alone, and while you can spend a lot of time in Schengen, and that's very difficult to police, how much time you're spending in Schengen, you should only really live or spend time in other EU countries up to 6 months per year, and it should be mainly in Portugal. Should be your residency. Only once you have a passport can you go and live in Sweden.
Perfect. In case we have additional family members being added, so either married, divorced, extra children, that type of thing, are they able to be added on at a later stage?
Yeah, sure, that's possible. Within reason, it makes more sense for the kids to be added, right at the start, or any dependents, because this way everyone's got the same renewal times in year 2 and in year 4, and the same 5-year period for the citizenship, right? So if you had someone in year 3, then they have their own 5-year period, and it just makes things logistically more complicated.
We've got another one here, the title deed. Can you explain it, sort of how long it takes to get your title deed? Is it a physical document that you receive? Just a little bit more about the title deed.
Essentially, once the money is in the client's bank account in Portugal, which is required by law to actually purchase a golden visa property, it has to be in a bank account in the main applicant's name in Portugal. The lawyers at the notary public and with the client's bank present go to deeds and essentially exchange the client's money for the title deed at the notary public. And we can get a physical title deed, and we have the deed of sale as well. And typically a title deed takes about 2 to 3 weeks from that day. And it can also be found on the land registry online under the investor's name in Portugal.
Perfect. What happens if the applicant or any of the family members die during the 5-year process of residency?
Yeah.
Doom and gloom.
It really depends. In most cases, if the main applicant dies, it can continue to the spouse. And if they've had it for at least 2 years, it can continue for the other dependents. But if it was very much at the start, maybe the process would end. The real estate, is still in the investor's name, so clients won't lose money. It's just the golden visa side of things that they could lose if it's before 2 years.
And then I think it comes back to a cost example of the Pelican. If I have 330,000, do I qualify, or do I need the 400,000 to start?
Right. So you got enough to buy the property, and then you're going to have to pay legals and apply for and the tax for the property. So let's say, taxes, let's say it's 29 plus legals and golden visa, let's say that's another 16. So you're going to need around 40,000 at the start to carry out the property transaction and get the golden visa. And then you'll need maybe another 5,000, or depending how many applicants you are, in month 8 to pay the government for the golden visa cards.
Okay, so I think you pretty much pointed to it a little bit, but the actual payment schedule, what sort of timelines are you looking at for the entire amount?
Right, exactly. So to reserve a unit at Pelican, you have to send 13,000 euros, okay, directly to the developer, and then that unit is yours. So typically you pay that, you pay the legal fees on day 1. So you're looking at about 25,000 euros on week 1. Start working the application, get your tax numbers, bank account, powers of attorney, and then you send roughly, I think like 350,000 euros to Portugal. And so that's your second bulk payment in month 3. And then developer, they contribute the rental return, they purchase the property, apply for golden visa, get approved, do the biometrics, and then in month 8 would be that final payment of 5,000 euros per person to the government for the golden visa cards.
Perfect. Can I keep my original citizenship? I'll quickly answer that. So with most countries you can. There are certain countries that do not allow dual citizenship. For example, places like India. And in that case, you would have to decide which one would be more preferential to you. But with the case like Portugal, they do have the permanent residency specifically for that. So you are able to obtain your permanent residency and keep your Indian, for example, citizenship. However, in certain cases like that, it's up to you to decide. In general, you can keep all of them. Another one for you, Pablo. In the case that I am declined, what is the situation there as far as property goes, and for what reasons can I get declined?
Yeah, so the Portuguese government's got a 97% approval rate, and we've got 100% approval rate with our clients and our lawyers. We've done over 700 applicants over the years, right? So we know our clients are going to get approved because we actually do the due diligence reports before we take any of our clients' money. We do the reports to make sure that they don't have a criminal record, that they are going to get accepted by the Portuguese government. So we know at the start if you're going to get accepted, and pretty much as long as you don't have a criminal record, it's the law. You make a qualifying investment, you get accepted.
Okay, thank you. And then in the time frame of permanent residency, do I get my passport? Can I go over the 6 years? So in the event that you want to extend your residency, can you continue it? Can you go over the 6-year period?
Right. So after 5 years, you can convert that temporary residency, which is the golden visa. You can continue renewing that for 2 years forever, as long as you keep the investment. Or you can convert that to a permanent residency, whereby you can sell your asset and be a permanent resident of Portugal, forever. And you can convert that permanent residency to a citizenship at any point. Some Chinese clients, for example, who don't want to get a citizenship because the Chinese government wouldn't let them, they would choose to continue on the permanent residency as opposed to the citizenship. But those are the options.
And the time frames from sort of once you've got your permanent residency to your passport?
Well, from when you apply until you get your passport, it can easily be around the year. You know, Portugal's government is you know, notoriously slow, so they do take their time, but you know, in the end, they always deliver.
And then from a multicultural point of view, is Portugal quite welcoming there? I know you said earlier that it's the most welcoming expat community in the world, but I mean from an ethnicity.
I think there's some questions about, you know, African and Muslim Arabic origins, right? So you know, Portugal has, you know, loads of, or they used to have a lot of colonies in Angola, they're in South Africa, they're in Goa, you know, Macau. So, you know, they're very international people, and because they're by the sea, you know, they went kind of all over the world. So there's, you know, there's a lot of Africans living in Portugal. Portugal and Spain was colonized by Arabs in the 7th century and were there for 800 years. And actually, this property, Pelican Alvor, anything that starts with AL is Arabic origin, right? So Alvor was actually you know, an Arabic city or town, you know, 600 years ago. So there's a lot of cultural heritage, as you can see, just by the name of this the area where the property is built. So and that's partly why it's very open to diversity and different cultures.
Perfect. I think after that, I think we can look at wrapping it up. As we did mention, we will send out the recording for everybody. And then I think, Pablo, any last words from you?
No, that's everything. Yeah, just thanks a lot everyone for attending. I think we still have over 80 people online. So yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, have a good day.
Thank you, guys.
All right.